Assuming interest rates may trend down in 2023, would you have any concern about investing in 30-year treasuries? Sure, absolutely. I mean, because you don't know if interest rates are going to trend down. What if they don't? Then you're going to take a massive haircut on that. So again, you listen, I can't give you personal investment advice, but I can just tell you what my philosophy is. And my philosophy is you just buy things when they're cheap and sell them when they're expensive. Interest rates on a 30-year right now, I don't have the chart in front of me, and I haven't looked at it in a few weeks, but let's just say that it's 4%. Or actually, no, it's going to be higher than that. It's probably going to be 4. Well, no. Okay, it's a Sunday, guys. You got to bear with me. Let's just, for the sake of the example, say that it's 4%. It might be a little less, but anyway, is that cheap historically speaking? Just remember that there's an inverse relationship between the yield and the price. So we've had, just go back to when Volcker raised rates. What was the interest rate on the 30-year back then? Let's just say, for the sake of the example, that it's 15%. Okay, that's cheap, historically speaking, because if the yield is 15%, think about how low the price is relative to if the yield is 4%. So what you're doing here, and I'm not saying this is wrong, I'm just saying I don't do this. You're trying to figure out the direction, the price direction of something first and foremost. You're trying to assume that interest rates are going to go down. You're trying to make a bet, basically, that interest rates are going to go down in the future. That's never, ever, ever where I start. I never start by trying to predict a price direction. I just start by asking myself if it's cheap or if it's expensive based on historical standards. And if it's not cheap, I don't even worry about the price direction because I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to buy it unless it's just dry powder. And then I would never buy a 30-year for dry powder, because when you have to cash it in for the liquidity, you could have to cash it in at a massive loss, which would be exactly what Silicon Valley Bank had to do. You see, if you're using your dry powder and putting into 30-year treasuries, saying, "Oh, I'm putting my dry powder into treasuries." No, you're basically doing exactly what Silicon Bank did. From a standpoint of, if you need that dry powder, you're going to have to sell it. You might have to sell at a massive loss. And then the asset side of your balance sheet is going to take a huge haircut. Now, you might not go bust, but you're making the same mistake, same exact mistake. Assuming, now, if you're, again, I want to be very clear. That's if you're using this as dry powder. You're probably not. So, I'm not saying that, this isn't a personal answer to your question. I'm just saying broadly speaking. But to be specific to your question, I can't give you individual investing advice. All I can tell you is that I wouldn't even consider 30-year treasuries right now, regardless of what price I thought, or which direction the price was going, or which direction the interest rates were going, because they're just flat out not cheap.